Here's a short story about a guy who dumps his girlfriend after she crossed his one and only boundary. And what is that boundary? That she not remain in communication with her ex-boyfriend, because obviously that's not a very good situation. And what does she do? She stays in contact with the ex-boyfriend and is shocked when this guy dumps her. And I thought it'd be a good one to go over here making the point, guys, that you must establish boundaries before you get into a relationship with somebody. Make it clear. And if they don't respect them, then you have every right to walk away. Absolutely. And of course, how a lot of women will get involved with a guy just to bide their time until the guy they really want is available. You must be aware of that. And if they have that much of attachment to an ex, that is a big warning sign. Get out of there. Titled, Am I the a-hole for ending things because I felt like my girlfriend chose her ex over our relationship? And a shout out to Ewan for sending in this story. It says, I'm 32 years old, and I ended a relationship with my girl, and I'm trying to figure out if I was wrong or if it was justified. Before we even became official, we talked for months about boundaries and expectations. For months? Damn, that's like a serious negotiation. One thing I was very clear about was that I wouldn't be comfortable being in a serious relationship with someone who stayed in contact with an ex that they had a deep emotional and S-word history with. She agreed every time and said it wouldn't be a problem. Okay, she's nodding her head. Okay, no problem. You heard it here. Because she wanted this guy. She wanted this guy to be in a relationship with him. But did she intend to keep that promise? I didn't rush her. I gave her time to handle it however she wanted, assuming by the time I asked her to be my girl, that situation would be in the past. After we became official, I found out on my own that she was still allowing her ex to text her occasionally. There you go. So much for the boundary. Now it's time to break up with her because she's breaking the boundary. This wasn't just any ex. It was someone she loved and has stayed sexually involved with for almost 3 years after they broke up. Whoa, that is a major attachment. And why didn't the guy get back with her? Well, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? She's hooking up with that guy left and right. She's just waiting around for that guy. When I brought it up, she said she doesn't try anything, that it's harmless, and that I was being insecure. Her stance was that if he ever crossed the line, she'd cut him off, but until then, she didn't see the harm. It doesn't make a difference if you don't see the harm, honey. That was my boundary, and you're breaking it. You're disrespecting me. And to add insult to injury, call me insecure because I have a problem with this. This guy you had a thing for 3 years and hooking up with. She had broken up with right then and there. The part that really messed with me is that this wasn't some abstract moral disagreement. We had already talked about this exact type of scenario before. At one point, she asked me if I would stop talking to her if I found someone new and that person requested it. I was honest with her and said if I loved the new person, yes, I would. Her response was that my answer was fair and understandable. So to me, she clearly understood how those situations usually work. No, she was saying it's fair and understandable from a perspective of logic, but emotionally, she doesn't agree with it. That's why it feels like we just see things differently and more like the rules change when applied to her. In other words, rules for thee, but not for me. This kept coming up, and eventually she gave me an ultimatum. Why is she giving you an ultimatum? Why aren't you breaking up with her for crossing your boundary? You don't need this drama, dude. Well, don't worry, our guy does things right. Either I accept their friendship or we can't be together. I agreed at first. Smack! The hell's the matter with you? But it didn't sit right with me. If I felt like I was being asked to ignore something we had already agreed upon, so I ended the relationship. Okay, you redeemed yourself. Good. Because if he would have stayed with her after all that crap, establishing the boundary, and then she broke it, and then labeling him insecure and giving him an ultimatum, oh God, she'd be hooking up with that dude right in front of him. No respect. Obviously, this guy telling the story here was just a placeholder till she could hopefully get that other guy back. Well, after the breakup, we stayed in contact and talked about possibly fixing things. Smack! You're not going to fix things, dude. Stop wasting your time. I told her clearly that I could not move forward romantically unless she cut off contact with him. She resisted for a long time and gave reasons like it being easier this way so he wouldn't come chasing her down. When she finally agreed, it was after a lot of conflict. Brother, this is a lot of unnecessary drama. Is this the only girl in the fucking state where you live? Within 150 square miles? Come on here, there's got to be other options out there to put up with this crap. When I asked her to remove him from Instagram for reassurance, she initially refused and said that she'll do it on her own time. After I dropped her off, she later texted me saying that she did it. She had previously told me that she cut contact and later admitted that she had not, so it was hard for me to trust in this time. Brother, stop wasting your time with her. You did things right by getting rid of her, but now you're working on getting things back. What bothered me was her attitude afterwards. She said something along the lines of, well, now who knows what he might do, but what's done is done, right? In a very annoyed tone. This made me feel like this wasn't something that she wanted to do, just something she felt forced into. Well, obviously she didn't want to do it. She wanted to have you as the placeholder, and she could still be in contact with him, hoping that he'll ask her out again. At the end of it, I felt like I was being played. You were. Like she understood my boundary from the start, agreed to it, benefited from the relationship anyway, and then pushed back when it was time to actually follow through. It felt like she chose keeping that friendship over protecting our relationship. Brother, you weren't important to her. She says, I'm controlling and insecure. I felt like I was clear from the beginning and followed through when I felt betrayed. Am I the a-hole for ending things over this? No, you're not the a-hole, and I'm glad finally at the end of this you ended things with her. Now keep things ended with her. Guys, like I said before, boundaries. You establish boundaries, whatever they are in the beginning, make it clear, and if she doesn't agree to them or she doesn't like it, okay. We don't have to do a relationship, period. But if you establish boundaries and she agrees to them and you begin a relationship and she breaks those boundaries or tests them in a way, the strength of those boundaries, you got your right to walk away. And this goes for my female viewers watching this about a dude, because everybody's allowed to have certain boundaries. But it's amazing how they'll make the guy here in this situation out to be the bad guy. She's talking to her ex, who she regularly hooked up with for 3 years afterwards, who she has a deep attachment to. That would bother anybody. But it's not worth the drama here. So good, I'm glad you ended with her. You're not an a-hole. Stop talking to her and find another chick, even if another chick that is good is 150 miles away. Now some comments. Everybody in the comments is in agreement here. One guy says, not the a-hole, but you would be the a-hole to yourself if you continue to force this relationship with someone who keeps keeping her ex in her back pocket. The fact that he's an ex she continued to sleep with for years after the breakup speaks volumes about how she still feels about him. Your gut was telling you something, and I wouldn't be surprised if she went right back to him. Or she wasn't outright cheating based on how she resisted. She was to your boundary. I'm sorry to say, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to get tested just to be safe. That's a very good idea. There's no way she wasn't physically cheating on him. Her calling you insecure is actually comical. Any person who says that after you establish clear boundaries is toxic as far as I'm concerned. I'd also argue that you are actually more secure than anything else because you have clear and valid boundaries. Again, not the a-hole. Find someone who's more compatible and less combative to your boundaries. Exactly. And one more. This guy says, not the a-hole. Your feelings are correct. You are being played. She has no intention of giving up her ex. You are basically the backup boyfriend in case she can't get him back. But you probably already know that. Well, he doesn't know that. He knows it now. And one more. Controlling and insecure. Translation, I am cheating on you, or trying to, and you are too close to catching me. A woman who loves and respects you, a woman who sees you as a valuable man and a partner, is doing everything in her power to repel other men who threaten the relationship. She kept asshat as her backup plan. Never be a plan B or compete for a position that is already yours. Go no contact forever. Amen. But some guys have to go through a lot of crap to learn that. So again, you guys don't have to do that. Remember, boundaries. Establish them in the beginning. They don't like them. Okay. Don't have to be in a relationship, but if they agree to them and cross them, you have every right and your reason, and it's reasonable to end it with them. And don't buy into the you're insecure controlling crap, because it's a tactic used too many times by usually guilty parties.